So what makes an idea, a team, or a brand truly contagious? It's not just about big marketing budgets or some clever tactic. There's a deeper, much more human force at play. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful framework for harnessing that exact force, the Enthusiasm Trilogy of flame, flow, and flood. Let's start with this quote from author Ryan Vogelaar, because, well, it makes a pretty radical claim, right? That enthusiasm itself can be a guideline for a better world. This isn't just about business success. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about our work and how we connect with each other. It's a bold idea for sure. Let's see if the framework holds up.
So here's the game plan. First, we're going to look at finding the source of passion. That's the flame. Then we'll dive into how to share that energy to achieve what's called social flow. After that, it's all about unleashing it to create a flood. And finally, we'll see how all these pieces lock together to create this amazing, self-reinforcing cycle.
All right, let's start at the beginning, with the source, finding your flame. And this is so much more than just a mission statement. It's the foundational spark of passion. It's really the heart of this entire thing.
So what is the flame exactly? Think of it as the ultimate why. It's that huge, positive, and deeply motivating goal that gives everything else its meaning. It's the reason you get out of bed in the morning, the purpose that fuels the entire engine.
To really wrap our heads around the power of a flame, we need a pretty big example. So let's look at one of the most audacious projects ever dreamed up, Mars One.
The stated goal was, get this, it was absolutely staggering. Not just to visit Mars, but to send people on a one-way trip to build a permanent human settlement there. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but that was the actual, tangible objective.
But here's the crucial part. The goal was colonizing Mars, yeah, but the flame was the purpose behind it. The founder, Baz Lansdorp, he saw a world that was just drowning in negativity and needed a shared adventure, something huge and overwhelmingly positive to unite us. That was the real source of the energy. That was the flame.
Okay, so once you've found your flame, you can't just keep it to yourself. That's not how it works. The next step is to share that energy and achieve what's called social flow.
Social flow is that magic moment when a group just clicks. You know what I'm talking about. It's when everyone is so plugged into the mission, into the flame, that they start operating like a single organism. Kind of like a band that's perfectly in sync, or a sports team where every single player knows what the others are going to do before they do it.
So how do you get your team into this state of flow? Well, it takes a complete and total mindset shift. See, traditional management is obsessed with finding problems and fixing weaknesses, but an enthusiasm-focused leader does the exact opposite. They find what people are great at and they amplify those strengths. It's about building the strategy around your team's natural talent, not trying to force them into some pre-made box.
And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory. After a really frustrating silver medal finish in the 2004 Olympics, the Dutch women's hockey coach Mark Lammers completely flipped his approach and basically became the poster child for this new style of leadership.
His method was just beautiful in its simplicity. First, he just stopped obsessing over what his players did wrong. Second, instead of drilling their weaknesses over and over, he doubled down on what each player did exceptionally well. And finally, he built the entire game plan around those unique strengths. And the result? They went on to win Olympic gold in 2008. That's the power of creating social flow.
So you've got your flame, and your core team is in a state of flow. Now it's time for the final, most explosive stage, spreading the flood. The flood is what happens when that internal energy just bursts outward and goes viral. It's the moment enthusiasm becomes a force of nature, spreading exponentially from person to person, far, far beyond your direct control.
The power behind the flood really comes down to one thing: trust. And this Nielsen data says it all. A staggering 92% of us trust recommendations from people we know, way more than we trust a TV ad or even a company's own website. The flood doesn't feel like marketing. It feels like a friend who's genuinely excited to share something they love, and that's what makes it so incredibly effective.
So just how far can one person's enthusiasm really travel? Well, the research suggests it's about this many steps of influence. 3. Just 3 degrees of separation.
Now, 3 steps might not sound like a lot, but this is where the math gets absolutely wild. Let's say you interact with 30 people, and each of them interacts with 30 more, and you do that for 3 steps. Well, that one little spark of enthusiasm from you can potentially reach 27,000 people.
It's a true exponential cascade.
A perfect, and I mean perfect, example of a brand engineering a flood is the KLM Surprise campaign. They used social media to find their passengers, and then they created these small, delightful, personal surprises for them. These weren't expensive ads. They were just authentic, shareable moments that people couldn't wait to tell their friends about, and that created a massive wave of positive word of mouth.
We've looked at the flame, the flow, and the flood as separate pieces. But now let's connect them and see how they create a powerful, self-sustaining loop.
Here's how the whole cycle works. You start with a powerful, purpose-driven flame. That flame fuels social flow within your core team. That shared energy then unleashes a flood of enthusiasm out into the world. And here's the magic part. The energy from that flood, all the stories, all the passion, it flows right back to reinforce the original flame, making it burn even brighter. It becomes a virtuous, self-powering cycle.
Ultimately, this whole framework shows that authentic passion isn't just a nice feeling. It's a massive strategic advantage. It's how you move beyond just simple marketing to create a genuine movement. And it all begins with one simple but incredibly powerful question. So, what's your flame?